Okay, and then awesome. All right, so we're good to go. I'm just going to open up my slides. All right, yeah. So today was going to be on customizing your consumer experience with the KW app. So if you know, a few weeks ago, KW released a new consumer app, an update that was highly anticipated. And every day after family reunion, I checked my phone like every minute to make sure it was coming out. So it came out finally. Um, and if you haven't looked at it yet, take a look at it. But I'm going to go through some of the steps on where you can find it if you haven't already downloaded it. And then we'll go through some of the things you can customize, and then also ways you can share this out and market it. So if you haven't already shared it with your clients, this is going to be some really cool ways you can do that. So I'm just going to move into the next slide here. So this is basically saying how are we staying in touch with our clients and keeping an emotional proximity. Does everybody know what that is? An emotional proximity is essentially saying, like, after the transaction, how do you keep in touch with your client? Or like during the transaction, how do you typically keep in touch with your client? Texting, phone calls, right? Sometimes those fall through the cracks. So with the KW app, what it's essentially going to help you do is keep top of mind with your client throughout the whole transaction. And that's why they introduced these guide pieces in the app that are going to give full transparency to the transaction to your client. And I like that a lot. And I think the ability to be able to even customize it to how you run your business is really awesome. So yeah, the solution, the KW app. All right, so this slide is going to essentially tell you how you can access your app. And I believe everybody here probably already has it downloaded, but if you don't, these are the steps you can take. So number one is downloading the KW app to your device. Now, if you have an Android phone or if you have an iOS device, you can find it in those respective app stores. And once you download it, the second thing I would recommend doing is, if you're unfamiliar with the new login process, which I know a lot of agents were, it's essentially asking you now to create an account as if you're a client. So what I recommend doing is, if you're going to create an account, just create an account as if you're the client. And I made one as my own name. So when I log in, I can just go ahead and brand it to myself as an agent, as you can see here. Step three is just engaging with the app, testing it out, playing around with it, finding things that are wrong, and just kind of getting a feel for how it would be when the client is using it. So what I was doing when I was using it was just kind of playing around with it, looking at listings, doing a listing search, creating a saved search, creating collections around specific areas, seeing what the neighborhoods look like, and then going through the guides and just checking those out. Yeah. This is incredibly user-friendly in my opinion. And I believe that the search functionality and feeds are a lot more accurate this time. And they're getting better every day, because this is something with any MLS feed, the feeds are changing every day. So they're constantly updating. And then, yeah, sharing your app from within. There is a button inside the app now where you can share it, just like the old app. It's just a little bit different. I'll go through that a little bit later on. And then we're going to go through exploring customization inside of Command, which would be things like setting up your guides. And then they do have a Kelly guide, which is a wizard that helps you set up the app as well. So we'll go through that too. So yeah, what's the goal of this course? Making a plan how you're going to talk with your buyers and sellers. And then what can we expect? What is the KW app? We're going to outline some of the processes for the buyer and sellers. And then the third thing, which is my favorite, is how we can promote this app. So there's a lot of really cool ways you can promote the app currently, and I'm going to go through those as we move through this class. So what is the KW app? Does anybody know what the KW app is? It's an app, yeah, it is. It's essentially the experience that the consumer is getting is really what's completing this whole Keller Cloud ecosystem, as you can see with this little outline here. So we had Command, we had Kelly, and then the major piece of that wasn't out for a long time was this consumer app. And that's what's going to complete this whole circle that will connect you and the client through this one system. And if you've been using the app at all, the Command, the consumer app actually will filter anybody through your Command database. And you can essentially keep track of your clients just in that one spot. It's really awesome stuff. So these are just a list of some of the things that you can do with the consumer app currently. Obviously, you can do your listing searches in there. You can create collections, which is basically if I'm looking at homes and I want to favorite it, they do have like a little heart icon next to the homes, and you can click that heart, and that creates a collection that, you know, when you're going through it as a client, they can look through all those homes that they've been favoriting, and then eventually what that's also going to be able to do is create a curated search for them later on. So this is kind of like the first step for that. But as an agent, you'll be able to kind of see all of what they're doing through your Command database, which is super cool. If for any reason they don't like a home, maybe they're trying to hide something from their spouse, they could hide homes they don't like. I know in one of the intro videos they had, it was like it was like a couple fighting over a home that they didn't want to purchase or something like that. So you could hide them if you don't want. They could also share collections to their friends or family, because there is a little share button in there. Collaboration between co-buyers is also really cool. So within the app, they can connect another co-buyer with them on the app itself, creating almost like this little circle inside of that. Follow along with the buyer and seller processes. So these are the guides. There's a buyer and seller guide that's built in currently. And as the client, they can go into those guides and they can see what step of the process they're currently in for that transaction. So on the seller end, you know, you can see things like, oh, you know, we're searching, or, you know, we're, you know, whatever it winds up being. Learn what it's like to live in a neighborhood. So they do have some built-in neighborhood statistics, kind of like when we were doing it in the Kelly app, when you were pulling up those market snapshots. Those are already built into the app. It's awesome. So like if I'm looking in Fort Lee, for example, the first thing that's also going to pop up for me is the neighborhood statistics. So anytime you're doing a search in a specific area, you'll notice that it has those little blue kind of like outlines around those neighborhoods. And you can actually get deeper insights into those neighborhoods if you click into them. It's pretty cool. All right, and then I kind of mentioned some of the stuff the agent can do on their end. So you can actually kind of micromanage your client directly through the database. So from here, I can provide them hyperlocal neighborhood data, because not only can they see it in the app, but I can set them up on neighborhood searches on my database as well. Keeping the steps of the transaction transparent. So that means I can go in, I can customize those guides, and I can also mark off the guides as soon as they're completed, because you'll have the ability to go in and check things off on the client's behalf or your behalf. See who has downloaded it and logged into your app. I like that a lot too. So for example, if I'm a client and you sent me your app, as soon as I download and log into that app, you'll get a notification for it. And then also in your database, you'll be able to see that that person connected with you directly through the app. And then eventually what's going to happen is they're going to have an additional feature that's going to let you know when they're online in real time. So if you're on Facebook, you know how it has that like little green dot when somebody's online. It's going to have that in the Command database as well. So I can say like, oh, it's 3 a.m. This person's up looking at homes right now. That's what it's going to be able to do for you. It's pretty cool. And then, yeah, watching your client's activity. So then I'll be able to see like what homes they're looking at, if they're favoriting anything. You can see here on the little screenshot if they edited a collection or not. So that's also pretty cool. So yeah, the whole timeline feature is going to be really robust as this system grows. It's pretty cool. All right, let's move along. So how can the agent manage relationships? So again, you can see here, You'll have the ability to see who's been associated or registered, who's been viewing a listing. You can also see the collections that they've been either viewing, editing, or sharing. And then as far as the saved searches go, you do have the ability to see those inside of Command as well. And again, why is this game changing? Because you have the ability to see all this in essentially real time. So you can see your Command shows you how your contacts are engaging with real estate inside your app, and you have visibility into any of their saved searches, their listings that have been viewed, whether or not they're sharing any of those collections that they've been creating. And again, it's full transparency on both ends, through the timeline for the agent and through the app with those guides. Awesome. So you can see here that there's two separate guides I mentioned. There's a buyer and seller guide. And within within Command under the consumer app, or we can call it an applet because that's inside of Command, you'll be able to actually build out and edit these guides for your clients. So if you're doing business a certain way and you want to be able to showcase that within these guides, you'll be able to do that in Command. And we're going to go over that once we get over to the demo part. So, all right, let's move into Command now. So I'm just going to minimize these slides real quick, and we'll come back to those in a little while. So there's a couple things I do want to show off in Command here. So I'm in Command. I'm just going to go back to my home screen again. And let's just log out here. I was in another, it's in an agent's profile for a second. So I'm going to log in. And if you're unfamiliar with this Command screen, again, it's agent.kw.com. And if I want to sign in, I'm just going to go ahead and sign in. Let's go ahead and sign in here. And I'm just going to click this little red button on the top here. I like to call it a little shortcut key. You can call it whatever you want. And I want to go into consumer. So I'm in consumer. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through the Kelly guide that helps you set up your consumer app. So if you haven't already went into the app and done any sort of customization, this is going to help out with that. So I'm going to go to Site and App Settings. And there's going to be an option on the side here. It says Learn More with Kelly Guides. I'm going to click that. And then it's going to give me two different options currently. So I can go ahead and either set up my agent sites, or I can set up my consumer settings for my app. So I'm going to go ahead and click that one here. And I'm going to hit continue. And you're going to see here when it loads up, if you're familiar with the Kelly guides, it's going to look very similar to that, this nice little overview screen here, which is going to give you what I can expect. Right now, what it's also doing is it's going to give me a little bit of an overview of the app itself. So what I can expect, we're going to set up my app. We're going to customize those guides. And then what I'm also going to be able to do is market my app, because we're going to go through those as well. So let's hit get started here. So the first page here is basically just like an education center. And it's going to give me a few different articles that I can kind of go into and learn more about the app itself. I highly recommend checking these out, especially on kwconnect.com. A lot of good resources, a lot of good video material, and they're always doing live streams now. So if you're going on to KW Connect Live, they have a nice little schedule of all the classes coming up this week. And typically, if you miss one, they'll have it posted online within the next day. So specifically for like the consumer experience right now, they're doing a huge push on that. So you'll see within the Connect Live guides, there's quite a few classes for the consumer experience right now. All right, so then it's just outlining three different kind of like articles that I would recommend me to look at. Creating a premium app experience, managing my client relationships, and then sharing your app with your clients. So those are a few of the different things that they have currently inside of here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next on the bottom. And you're going to see here the first screen that it takes me to, it's basically my app landing page. So every agent has one already set up for them, which is great. But if I wanted to edit something, you know, they do have the ability to do that here as well. I can hit app download. There's like a little arrow. And then right now, if I wanted to edit this hero text, which I don't think it actually edits right now, so I'm just going to leave that. But it does give me access to my app URL and then my text code, because I can text that code out to a client and it can download my app. The actual app URL landing page, though, I like a lot, because once you send it to them, it is mobile friendly. And they can just literally put their phone number into this link, and then it sends them the app link for whatever kind of respective phone that they're using. So if they're using an iPhone, they'll send them an App Store link. If they're using an Android phone, same thing. But they also have the ability to download it directly from here as well. And it is available for the iPad. So if you're using it on a tablet, it does work. Cool stuff. All right, so there wasn't too much I had to do here. So we can hit save and continue. Now, this is where I get into some of my guides. So again, there's gonna be two guides, a buyer and seller guide. And you also have a little intro page here as well, as you can see. And this is just gonna kind of introduce myself, whether it be on the buyer or seller end. And if I go here on the left or right, sorry, there's a setup. So if I go to setup, there's gonna be two different guide templates I can work with currently. It's a buyer guide and seller guide. So I'm gonna go with my buyer guide first, just so you can see. And I'm gonna hit next on the bottom. And then right away, it's gonna bring me to my intro. So again, my intro's here. It's already kind of like auto-populated. And it did save it this time, because before it used to say my name was Paul. So it changed it finally. It used to say Paul here, so they changed it. So from here, I can edit this if I wanted to. Otherwise, I can keep that. I think it looks fine the way it is. Just gonna hit save and next. And this is where the fun part is. So this is basically when I'm building out my guides. So you can see here for the buyer guide specifically, you have starting your search, get pre-approved, tour homes, making an offer, executing a contract. This one I actually added. This is get a claim history report. So I added that one earlier today as a custom one. Home inspection, home insurance, home warranty, and then close. There's quite a lot of steps in this one. But maybe you don't take the same steps as this guide has. You can customize it. So if you see here on the right-hand side, not only can you customize these, but you can also move them around. There's these little like kind of like a little guide thing here that you can move up and down. And then I can also add additional steps if I wanted to. And then for things like this where it says get claim history report, you can see here I can also delete the step if I needed to. So if there's steps in here that I don't necessarily need right now, or I want to customize or remove for later on, you can also delete the guide step. So this is something you can go into right now and you can edit, and you can customize this directly to how your business is ran. And then you can also get like a little nice live preview in the middle here. So it shows you exactly when the client's in the guide, it's going to look something similar to this. All right, so once I'm done with my guides, I can go ahead and hit next. And then what it's gonna do, it's gonna give me like a little overview of the guide itself. You can see here, it outlines all the steps involved. So I have start your search, get pre-approved, again, tour homes. And it's just gonna walk me through all the steps that I just created and just kind of like have me check it out to make sure it's okay. And then it would be pretty much good to go. Now for me to go ahead and edit the seller step, I would have to just go to add guide, and I would have to just, instead of choosing buyer's guide, I would choose seller's guide. And then that's gonna take me into the seller's guide, which is the same exact process. Intro, reviewing the steps for the guide. And this one has quite a few less than the other one, as you can see. But if I needed to add any additional steps in there, I can do that from here. And I can also rearrange these, and I can also customize the names. I can add additional photography, however you want to do it. Cool, all right. I'm going to hit next now. Now we have my buyer guide set up. I have my seller guide set up. Looking good. Now all I have to do now is just hit next. So that completes the step. So now what we did was we completed the guides. We completed our initial kind of customization settings. This is where it gets fun. This is where I get to kind of promote the app now. So what it does for you is it generates a smart plan for you. And the smart plan is going to send out an email. So it's going to, when you put your clients on this smart plan, it's going to send them an email about your app to download it. And then there's also going to be some text reminders in here. So you can see here right now, it has some auto-generated text message text in there. What you can do is after you already create this, you can go back and edit the text message if you wanted. However, if you're going to be sending it out manually, you can send it out however you want. But this is just kind of like to give you an idea of the type of text it would send out from command. So this is going to follow up with them the next day. So the second day, it's going to, hey, just so you know, somebody was looking in your area, and you can download my app to check that out. And then you can also see here, did you receive my, or did you see the stats about the neighborhood? So that's 3 days afterwards on the 5th day. So it's a nice little smart plan just to kind of follow up with them after you send out the email. And again, if I want to start adding people to this, there's a little button on the right here. It's kind of hard to see, but it's there. It's a little person sign. And what I can do is I've hit the person. I can then go ahead and start adding people to that smart plan. So let's say I already had like 20 people in here that I wanted to send it to. I can go ahead and find those people, or I can type in their names, or I can go by tags. So if I want to go by a specific tag that I want to send out to, you can do that as well. Or if I want to just add somebody like myself, I'll put myself on one. We'll just go ahead and hit my name, add the smart plan, and then they're automatically added to that smart plan. And then they will then receive that in an email. I don't think it's going to let me do it because I'm already on it. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, I was already on it. Anyway, you can go through here and do that. So once you're satisfied with the smart plan and you've added some people on it that you want to add, you can go ahead and hit the next step, which is essentially completing the guide. And it's going to say, well, there's other ways you can share this out as well. So you see here, there's 3 options. We can do a social media post. We can also create a neighborhood video, which are also pretty cool. And then you can also craft a advertising campaign. So you can actually make like a campaign around this as well. And I'm going to show you how you can do that. So this is done. We're going to go out and click out of this now. So my app is set up, and I want to start creating some marketing pieces around it to share. So I'm going to go up to KW again. I'm going to click that KW button, and I'm going to go down to where it says campaigns. So under campaigns, there's an option here called social posts, and I'm going to click on social posts. And KW is nice enough to provide us with some auto-generated content now. So if I wanted to share my app, you'll notice that they have these things here called quick posts. And under these quick posts, you have the ability to create a neighborhood video. So let's do one real quick. Let's do a video for this area. We're going to click on this little, there's like a little blue arrow here. I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to search for a neighborhood, and I'm going to put Fort Lee here. And I'm going to go ahead and let's see which one I'm going to use, because it didn't go by neighborhood specifically. So I think this one's called Linwood. I'll use Linwood here. All right, so let's go ahead and use Linwood. That's the Fort Lee one here. We'll hit next. And what it does for you automatically is it's going to generate some of the kind of like neighborhood information. So you'll see here things like the average home price, average price per square foot. If it has that information, we have 3 homes for sale currently, days on market. And then you also have some additional information about like what the locals are saying. So like luxury culture, moviegoers, we have networking opportunities. And I think that looks pretty good. I'll use that. We'll just put Linwood section of Fort Lee right now. So you can actually edit these names too. So if you don't like Linwood, you can call it whatever you want. Same with the average home price. If you were doing any additional research and you came around a different price, you can actually change the pricing. Square footage price, I'm just going to put something in as a default because I'm not sure. Average home prices, days on market. And then what it also does is, because I filled out my marketing profile in the beginning earlier when I first created Command, it already auto-populated my information. So that I don't have to fill out either. And then the last part is just kind of going through, choosing my DBA logo. And then all I have to do is hit next. And you're going to see here what it does within the next few seconds. It's going to generate this video clip. It looks really cool. So once this video is done generating, you're going to see what it looks like. So we're going to go ahead and I'll just show you a quick snippet of it. It typically has some audio on it. Right now it's not playing, but you see here it's this good information from March 11th, which is today's date. Let me maximize that a little bit so you can see it. You see here it gives me the average home square footage price. Then it's going to go into some of the homes for sale. And then it's going to show me days on market. You see it's a nice little animation. So this is generated pretty much instantly for you. Here's the local percent. I like this part too. Moviegoers, yep, IMAX theater. And then it's just essentially, hey, you want to learn more? Download my KW app. Basically what it's kind of roping into here. And then it has my nice little business card at the end. Yeah, they're all pointing at it. So that's the video clip. And then once you're done, you can hit save and post. And what it does is it essentially generates the social media post for you. So that's one way you can do it. Now, the one other way that I really like that they just added, I think last week, if you're familiar with this commercial that they've been kind of promoting lately, they showed it at Family Reunion a bunch of times and they had it on KW Connect. They had this really awesome, well put together KW app video that you can share as well as a post. And the same way that I would do the neighborhood video, if I click this little blue arrow, it's going to pop up this video screen and it already has the text there. So all the text that I would need to kind of put into the actual post is already there. And it has my app link as well. Now, if I'm like, I don't really like this text, I can shuffle between it and it gives you some additional text options in here. If it loads, it's not going to load for me right now. It's okay. But typically they would have a few other options of text that you can choose from. I think some have like emojis in it if you want to get a little bit more fun with it. But the app link is always there, so you don't have to worry about ever trying to find that, which is great. And then the video clip is here too. I'm not going to play it because it's a little longer, so we're not going to play that right now. But you can check out the video if you'd like. The video is really nice. And then you have the ability to either schedule the post for later or you can publish it immediately. So if I'm going to publish this immediately, it goes directly to my Facebook. And then I had just created a nice little post around my consumer app. So let's just close that. And then there is one additional option here, and you have the ability to use one of the design pieces that Command has now as well, which is this nice little graphic, and it's formatted specifically for Instagram and Facebook. Let's close this out so you can see it. I just want to show you it. So here, right now, it's going to format the post out. I have the nice little graphic there. And again, my app link is still here. So I didn't even have to go ahead and find that. Let's see if I can shuffle my text. I want to see. There you go. So you see here I'm shuffling the text around. It's kind of changing the wording and all that stuff. You can do that here as well. If I did want to add additional images, you can do that too. But I like that it's just already pre-generated for me. Literally in a few seconds, I would have created a post. When for me, I'm not really good with wording sometimes. So getting a little bit of a boost with my copy, amazing. So I don't have to write anything up. And I think that's really good for agents too, because if you're on the go, you can just put this together in like 2 seconds and then you're already set. And again, you have the ability to either schedule this out in advance or you can publish it immediately. So that's another feature I like about the social posting aspect, is that you can literally schedule out posts for like a whole month in advance and then just let it do its thing, because it's going to just post for you automatically after that. So those are a few different ways you can promote the app on your Facebook. What you can also do is, if you wanted to create a custom post or a customized ad, you can do that from in here as well. So they do have a paid ad section, but if I want to use something like one of these video clips that I created, I can actually go into designs. So I'm going to click designs, and because that video is already generated, there's going to be a, or here's one of them that I created, we'll use that. So if I want to create an ad around the video I just created, I can click these little, there's like 3 dots. And you can see here what it does. I can use in a campaign. I can download that, because I can then download it and I can share it in like a text or an email, whatever I want. Or I can post it on my, my YouTube channel if I'd like. But if I want to create a paid advertisement in Facebook, there's an option called Use in Campaigns. And this is going to help me set up the campaign ad that I'm going to use with that video. So from here, I think I'm going to select my goal as attract listings. We'll just use the same name. It's cool. Set up campaign. And then it's going to generate the content. Again, as you can see, my video is already posted. I can shuffle between some of the text here as well. I'm going to use some of this. Let's use what your home is worth. And then for CTA text, let's use this one. Save that. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit configure media. And the video is already there, so I can save that. Now for the Facebook ad, all I'm going to do is select my page. Let's go down and select the page. And then for my follow-up destination URL, I'm actually just going to use my app link. So I'm going to use download my app. And we can then go through, target the audience we want to use. Maybe I'm going to do Fort Lee for this. Let's see if I try that again. Fort Lee. There we go. Fort Lee, New Jersey. The radius is always set to 20 miles, but you can make that, the minimum is 15. So basically I would go through here, I would set up my interests, the budget and duration, and then once I'm all set, I can go ahead and hit publish campaign, and I would have created an ad around that video clip. And the other cool thing about it is if they hit that learn more button, it's going to take them directly to my app landing page that we also just created. Or actually it's just created for you automatically. And then they would be able to download my app directly. And again, with the app, when you capture leads through there, you do get a notification and you also get an email. So I do see emails coming in when there's leads captured from the app. Cool. All right. Does anybody have any questions about anything? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's a good question. And this would be part of the consumer experience, because we can also customize our landing pages to have links back to our app as well. So I will show how you can do that real quickly. So let's just go back into command. So under the consumer section, we go to consumer. Once it loads up. So we're at this screen here, and you can see I actually did create some before. So I have some open house templates I've done. So I'm going to show you how I did that. Okay, if we go to create a new site, and if we go to here where it says on a standalone page, Yep. Yeah, so we're gonna go as a standalone page. Yeah, so it might not work that well on the, yeah, you probably wanna do it on your computer. I can show you that afterwards, but if we go ahead and create a new page, once it loads up, you're gonna see, it's gonna bring you to this blank screen here. And my computer's just really slow, so just give me a minute. So it's gonna load into this screen here. It's like a blank canvas. So what I wanna do now is I wanna start adding some content in there. So on the right-hand side, the first thing I'm gonna add in is my lead form. So I'm just gonna pop in my lead form. All right. Second thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some listing information because I wanna be able to have something out once they're in the open house that they can look at. So I can go ahead, if they were, wanted to scroll through, put a listing in there. And then the last thing I'm also gonna do is because I want them to be able to then download my app later, I'm gonna put a download my app widget in there, and that's gonna appear right on the bottom here, you see? So all I did was 3 different things. There's an app widget, I have the listing widget, and then on the top here is my lead capture widget. So that's the one that's gonna essentially capture that lead information and then populate it into my database at the open house. So how do I get this to work now? There's a couple things I have to do first. So on the bottom here, there's gonna be an option that configure widgets. So I'm just gonna click that. And what I'm gonna do for the first part is the lead form. I'm gonna put for the header text, we'll put open house, let's say it's 311 or 315. And then what is the actual, we'll keep it like that, 315. And then maybe I'll put the address as 123 Main Street. And we'll save and apply. And you're gonna see what it does on the top here once it's loaded. So it says on the top here, 123 Main Street, open house. Here's the date. And I'm just gonna name this as well so I know 123 Main Street, open house. And I'll also be doing more of an expanded class on this next week. So if you're interested in that, I'll be going over this again. But we're gonna go ahead and save and apply. I'm gonna go to my second step here, which is the listing. So I need to be able to put in some listing information. I can hit browse. And does anybody have a listing right now that they wanted me just to pull from as an example? Just throw out an address. Anything. Any address. Or I'm just gonna try to find one off the top of my head. I'll use this one, I always remember it. 10 Nelson Place, it's in Tenafly. Can never forget it. I'm gonna select it. So what it's gonna do from here, I'll hit save and apply, just because it's gonna auto-populate the information in. So it populates the widget on the top. On the bottom here, I have my listing information, you can see, awesome. Facts about the property. Here's some additional photography. Details of the home, where it's located on the Google map. And then my app link is there, so it's all good.
Where did you get the app link from?
There's a widget on the screen that I was on previously. So there's a, like if I go here, yeah, so there's one here called download my app, and that's the one I use. It's the last one. So I think this is good to go. I'm gonna hit publish, because after I'm done configuring my widgets, I can publish this now. I'm gonna hit publish. And it's gonna ask me if I wanna make this visible. I'm gonna say yes. And now after that's completed, I have a link here that I can use for my open house. And I can open it up just so you can see what it looks like now. So this is the widget sign-in sheet, so they can literally go in, sign in. And if they're like, oh, I just want to see a little bit more information about the property, here's some info. And because they're going to be on a tablet or whatever you're using for that, if they want to download my app, they can click this. And then they can say like, all right, there's my download app link, put in your phone number here, and you can have it sent over to you directly. So that's one way you can get them to download your app. It's pretty cool. And this is fairly new as well. I think they introduced this a couple of weeks back when they had the app just come out. So that's really awesome that they added that now. It looks very clean. It's very clean looking. Cool. So that's basically how you would do the open house sign-in sheet.
After they put the information, just the next step.
Yeah. So once somebody fills it out and they're finished, it resets, and then somebody else can sign in with that. So yeah. All right. Awesome. Yeah. So do that. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Yep. Cool. All right. Any other questions? Anything else? Awesome. All right. Well, that would pretty much cover it. Yeah. So this is online. So if you're looking to find this streamed, it's going to be on our Facebook page, Keller Williams City Views. I'm also going to have this video downloaded, and I'll post it onto YouTube as well. We have a Bergen County Partners YouTube channel, and I'll post this up there later on today as well.
So that's on the Facebook page.
Yeah. It's going to be on our Keller Williams City Views one. Yep, the public page. And you should be able to access it now after I stop this stream. And yeah, thanks for coming.
You should also do it so it's easy to get all your videos on your
Yeah, yeah.
So we just